year. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you indicated on January the 17th that he has, quote, continued to do reasonably well, end quote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, you know Dr. Weiss, I think you testified, and do you respect him as a colleague and a peer in the medical community here?
Yes, I do.
And would the same be true of Dr. Parsons as an orthopedic surgeon?
I would.
You don't have any reason to believe that they are not qualified to treat or evaluate Mr. Crawford?
I think they're both qualified to treat and to evaluate.
Okay. And the impairment rating of 5% is based on Mr. Crawford's subjective complaints of pain. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if you believe that Mr. Crawford's symptoms were all from the accident, then that impairment rating would have been higher, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
Would have been as high as 15%?
Yes.
But you chose to give a 5% attributable to this accident.
That's correct.
And on the 6 months off work, I'm understanding from all the testimony in this case that is essentially a judgment call on the physician's part. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You said there's no objective way, there's no objective formula, table, or chart that tells you how long to hold somebody off work.
That's correct.
You consider, among other things, what the patient complains of and what the patient desires. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it's also correct that if Mr. Crawford's stenosis does get worse at age 65, you would agree with Dr. Weiss that that would not be something that would be, quote, caused by the accident.
I would agree with that.
And it's true that you see many patients in your practice who have a similar degenerative back condition as Mr. Crawford and are symptomatic without having been involved in a traumatic event.
That's correct.
In other words, the wear and tear of daily life can make these conditions symptomatic just as much as a car accident can.
Yes, it can.
Right. And so it's certainly possible that even if Mr. Crawford hadn't had this accident, then he would have at some point have become symptomatic.
That is correct.
And had these same complaints. That's possible.
That's correct.
And needed the same medical treatment.
That's correct.
And would you agree that you see many patients who do have degenerative disc disease in their back who have a rear end accident and completely recover within a period of several months?
That's correct. I do.
That is all the questions I have. Thank you.
A couple of follow-up questions. Again, Mr. Gilmore's asked you questions that seem to, or at least attempt to raise doubt about Mr. Crawford's complaints of pain and the fact that they're related to this automobile accident.
Objective characterization.
Do you have any evidence or any belief that would support the idea that Mr. Crawford didn't have pain and develop these symptoms as a result of the car accident?
I have none.
And has any of the questions posed to you by Mr. Gilmore changed at all any of the opinions that you gave me on your direct testimony?
They have not.
Thank you, Doctor. I'd like to go ahead and make these two pieces of paper an exhibit, as well as your, I believe you said you saw him in September of 2004. I'd like to go ahead and make those three documents a collective exhibit.
I have a couple follow-ups.
All right.
I think we've already established pain is not something you can measure. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You can't do a test to determine whether somebody subjectively feels pain.
That's correct.
And so what I'm understanding is that you as a physician, that the way that you deal with that is that you accept what your patients tell you, unless there's some piece of evidence that just absolutely contradicts that.
I accept what they tell me as long as what they tell me seems to be reasonable, and as long as there's not something that that occurs that makes me doubt their history.
Okay. Such as a prior medical record.
Yes.
Okay. But absent something like that, then you have essentially no choice as a treating physician but to rely on what your patients tell you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's all I have.
Let me touch on that issue. You've been doing this for, as you stated, for approximately 30 years. During that period of time, have you learned how to assess what your patients are telling you and taking into account the fact that you may have some patients that exaggerate their symptoms?
You hope that you have the ability to evaluate patients reasonably accurately. Many times you do, sometimes you're wrong. And in many cases, the history, the willingness to go back to work, the fact that somebody worked well before the time of the injury, the response to medications and drug seeking, and finding that patients go and see other physicians and require more medication lead me to doubt their validity. I don't have any reason to doubt Mr. Crawford's complaints or his history.
Thank you, Doctor. That's all I have.
Well, what is secondary gain?
A secondary gain is that it is a way to amplify whatever benefit one gets from a injury.
Okay.
And usually when that occurs, I see guys like you around a lot, and both of you around a lot. And it usually means either that there's gain as far as hope with money, or as hope of affection, as hope of behavior modification with people in their family.
And you would agree, wouldn't you, that whenever there's a lawsuit pending for a substantial amount of money in one of your patients, then there's the potential